Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Women's Advanced Bible Study night. Okay, the 19th of October, 2023. Okay, the topic inside the room is JASHER chapter 17 and Jubilees chapter 8. Okay, so you can go to our YouTube channel, the Prophets of Awakening. We have a lot of videos there that with a lot of information that connects some dots for you and bring you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. If you like what you're hearing and receiving from these videos, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. And for those that feel the need to support the channel, we have a cash app at the bottom of the screen. Okay. And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament, books of the law that were given to Moses by the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to our channel and welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study. Okay, we're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, a prayer, we read the Psalms, then we do our Women's Health moment, then we have some current events, some need to know information, and we'll open it up for some Q&A, comments, and then we'll go into our lesson, which is Jasher 17 and Jubilees chapter 8. Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and for our Creator and all that they're doing to bring about the prophecies that have been prophesied by our forefathers. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great mercy and your great power and your wisdom, and we're tired of waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people. Oh Lord, you've given us insight into the scriptures of our forefathers, and you, oh Lord, have directed us to who you are and your role in going on with heaven and earth. Okay. Tarry not, O Lord, for the latter days are here. We are waiting and watching for you. Peace be unto you. Okay. Gonna read the Psalms.
Shalom. I'll be reading Psalms 48 in its entirety, the Song of Psalms for the son of Korah. Psalms 48, verse 1. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised in the city of our God, in the mountains of his holiness. Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion on the sides of the north, the city of the great King. God is known in her palaces for a refuge. For lo, the kings were assembled, they passed by together. Verse 5, they saw it, and so they marveled. They were troubled and haste away. 6, fear took hold upon them there, and pain as a woman in travail. Verse 7, thou breakest the ship of Tarshish with an east wind. As we have heard, so have we seen in the city of the Lord of hosts, in the city of our God. God will establish it forever. Selah. Verse 9, we have thought of thy loving kindness, O God, in the midst of thy temple. According to thy name, O God, so is thy praise unto the ends of the earth. Thy right hand is full of righteousness. Verse 11, let Mount Zion rejoice, let the daughters of Judah be glad, because of thy judgments. Walk about Zion, and go round about her, tell the towers thereof. Verse 13, mark ye well her bullocks, consider her palaces, that ye may tell it to the generations following. Verse 14, for his God is our God, forever and ever. He will be our guide, even unto death. I read Psalms 48 in its entirety, verse 1 through 14. I wanted to ask about, last night we talked about God and the Lord, and who was, when we talk about the different, when we see the word Lord and God, and who is this God and who is this Lord and what is this angel. So in verse 48, we're talking about the Lord of hosts, the great Lord, the Lord of hosts. And when I looked at this and looked at 2 Samuel, and it talks about David taking over in Israel once King Saul died. And this was during the time when through that era, we first had in Samuel 1 the King Samuel, then King Saul, and then King David in 2 Samuel, where he, conquers Jerusalem, and he makes Israel a great nation then, with full of blessings that the Lord blesses him, the Lord of hosts blesses him, and you know, he fights, he goes out and asks him, who shall he conquer? And the Lord of hosts tells him, and he helps him. And then he has great success, but then when he finds Bathsheba and he gets with her and kills her husband, then there's not a real fall, but then there's like a coming down of everything. But then he sort of repents or repents, and then he is back up again. So in this Psalms 48, I wanted to ask you, Brother Leonard, about this song in its entirety. Am I on the right road with this, or am I not? When I talk about Samuel and what the song may relate to.
Yeah, yes. You just mentioned Samuel was never. It was Saul. Saul then David. Samuel was never king.
Yes, sir.
Samuel was the last judge. We had judges, and then from the judges they had a king. Samuel was the last judge of Israel.
Okay, in 1 Samuel, he was the judge. Okay.
Yeah, the judge. You had judges. Then the people wanted a king. That's how the people chose Saul.
Saul.
Not Saul. I mean, but they and Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, chose David. The people chose Saul, but the Lord of hosts chose David. That's why David, we know David is the Messiah, because he chose him.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And all the kings have to come out of David's loins. But how you really want to rightly divide this Lord God thing, which these Edomites concocted, because these
Yes, sir.
names wasn't there. They using these names because they don't want us to call the person that came and delivered us out of Babylon, the one that came in the fiery furnace, and the one that came to Egypt is the Lord of hosts. They don't want us to get that understanding, because when we get that understanding, call him, he gonna come. So they don't want us to do that. They're giving us everything, but that. Just like with David, you can deal with anybody you want except David. David a bad man. So anyway, how you rightly divide that is I always go here is chapter 23 of Exodus, verse 20. So the Lord of hosts is we know from Ezekiel chapter 1, the Lord Yahweh is in a thick cloud, and these four angels that we talked about in Enoch, Gabriel, Michael, Uriel, and Peniel was in the cloud. So that same cloud came down on top of Mount Horeb, Mount Zion, Mount Horeb, when Moses brought them there. He came down, so Yahweh and the Lord of hosts there. So it says, when he told them, go tomorrow and set bounds around this mountain, so nobody won't come up here, because he up there. Moses, Lord of hosts, one of his purposes is he's the mediator that mankind can talk to God, but they talking to him. So when they're talking to him, talking to God, but the reason for it is that they can tolerate, Michael can tolerate a man. He can deal with a man, but the Lord Yahweh can't. He's a consuming fire. When you come up there, he's gonna reach out and he's gonna burn you up because he can't tolerate no defilement, no sin, none of that around him. That's the whole purpose of the Lord of hosts. So anyway, when you understand that, he tells him right here in 23 and 20, the Lord of hosts, Yahweh talking to Moses, behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way, to bring thee to the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, obey his voice, provoke him not, he will not pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. So this is who they talking to. You ain't got to guess on it. He came down for those 40 days and 40 nights and left, and he left Michael. So if you're struggling with who this is they talking to, it's Michael. He just said right here, beware of him, obey his voice, provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. He gave Moses and all these instructions and left. So the God that Israel dealing with is the Lord of hosts. Yahweh gone. And like I said, Yahweh already got a temple. Enoch tell you that. He was brought up to the temple in heaven. So Yahweh got a temple. So who this temple is on earth? Lord of hosts.
Lord of hosts.
And who was it there in there? When David said, I'm going to cry out to you in a great congregation, it's the Lord of hosts.
Yes, sir.
So they playing with you because, first of all, they set you up to make you think that the God that they're dealing with is the God that means the creator. So when you read a perfect example of that is 48:1. Great is the Lord. That's the Michael. And greatly to be praised in the city of our God, in the mountain of his holiness. So who do Yahweh dwell on the mountain?
No, sir.
No, man. No, sir.
In Jerusalem? Do Yahweh dwell in Jerusalem?
No, sir.
It's Michael.
Yes, sir.
So they got so when you go back to that, all you have to remember is and Yahweh, another thing, Yahweh not a shepherd. So he told them, when you go back and look at that story I just said in Exodus 23, is a shepherd. Just like a shepherd with his sheep. The flock was Egypt, in Israel, was in Egypt. Michael, the shepherd, when he got them. So the Yahweh and these angels looking down from heaven, it's a shepherd out in front of the flock, taking them to the land of Canaan. So everything they came and encountered on that trip, the shepherd dealing with it. He the one culling the sheep. The ones that when he open the earth up and all that, that's him. He the one doing all that. He's leading. That's who he's talking to. And so when you go to Deuteronomy 28, he the one, he said, obey my voice. Well, Yahweh just told us in Exodus 23 that obey his voice. So what's the voice he talking to? What voice that is that they didn't obey in Deuteronomy 28? The Lord of hosts.
Lord of hosts.
Not Yahweh. That's how you rightly divide it.
Yes, sir.
Yahweh gone. Michael standing in, just like David. When David talking to the Israelites and he give them a commandment, it's the same as the Lord of hosts gave him. Because the Lord of hosts is the power behind David. And the power behind the Lord of hosts is Yahweh.
Yes, sir.
So that's how you rightly divide that. But they didn't trick it all. Well, got you thinking that Yahweh he is Yahweh. No, it's not Yahweh. It's like in chapter 12. We said the first time that Michael appeared to Abraham, that ain't Yahweh, because he would have consumed him.
Yes, sir.
And then on top of that, Yahweh ain't finna appear to nobody. These angels got the ability to appear to us and interact with us. That's their purpose. Okay.
Yes, sir. You talked about that last night when Cheryl was talking about, how Yahweh was that fire, that no one could, talk with him but the angels and Lord of hosts.
Right. So the writer divide that. He says that's why we know that it's two different beings, and he tells you Michael's name is he was like Yahweh. Well, can't Michael turn into consuming fire?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So that's
because he's
why.
like,
So we know it says the scriptures tell us Moses went on the mountain and they say the bush was the angel of the Lord lit on the bush in the form of fire. So right there you see it tells you there's an angel there, ain't not Yahweh on the side. So when they came on Mount Sinai, when you write divide all that, when they on Mount Sinai in the cloud, it's four angels in the cloud and Yahweh. So what you have to look at is just like with Nebuchadnezzar and Nebuzaradan, you coming up anywhere around where Nebuzaradan gonna meet you first. Then Nebuzaradan gonna take you to Nebuchadnezzar. So on the mountain, when Moses said, "Come up on the mountain," before he got up there, he met the Lord of hosts. Lord of hosts took him to deal with that. And so when he said, "Tell the people this great fire that you see up here, who is that? That's the Lord of hosts. This great fire that you see, that's him." And they put it right in our face in the movie with Moses, Ten Commandments. That's the Lord of hosts that wrote the fire, that wrote the Ten Commandments on the stone. Anybody see the movie?
Yes, sir.
You see the swirling
yes,
fire
sir.
that wrote the fire? That's Michael. And
Yes,
he sends out his hand out and burn the commandments in there, and he burn out the Ten Commandments. That's Michael. That's the great fire you're talking about. So then when you go to when they came out of Egypt, it's a cloud above leading them. That's Yahweh. Then it's a fire on the ground that went round behind them, right?
yes, sir. It sure.
Both of them right there in operation. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they got the furnace was turned up 10 times hotter than any furnace. So the Lord of hosts came in there. He's the fire that came in there. It says the angel of God or the Son of God showed up in the fire. So then it can't be Yahweh.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
just like the bush was on fire but it wasn't burning, just like
Right.
Meshach, Abednego, they
Right.
were in the furnace on
But it did a
fire but was
miracle.
not burning.
Exactly. And
Thank you,
everybody,
sir.
nobody knows of the story that Abraham was put in the furnace long before Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was. That's how Terah got killed. Terah burnt up in the fire. But
Which
Abraham,
book is that?
that's in Jasher, chapter 8.
Jasher.
Chapter 8.
Yes, sir.
Abraham had an encounter with Nimrod. But like I was saying, you don't get that, in the King James because they don't want you to get that. If you read your King James, never deal with these other books, you will assume Abraham and Nimrod was hundreds of years apart. They never encountered each other, but they lived at the same time. The same way we was able to rightly divide Joshua last night. Joshua is dealing with the 10 tribes in Nineveh. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else got anything on that? Okay, we got the women's health moment.
Yes, shalom, everyone. Excuse me. Please note that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is on food for medicine. Food for medicine is an ancient concept made new. The concept itself stretches back thousands of years. Isaiah chapter 38, a praise for promise of life, verse 21. For Isaiah had said, "Let them take a lump of figs and lay it for a plaster upon the boil, and he shall recover." Food can become your medicine to cure various diseases. We can use various foods ingredients in home remedies. Specific foods recommendations and restrictions can help in treating diseases without medicine. What we choose to eat has profound effects on your overall health. The food you eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. Here are some general principles of food as medicine. Increase your fruit, vegetables, and water intake. Minimize the use of refined sugar, candy, soda, carbonated drinks, and industrial or packed foods. Eat foods according to season. The best way to think about foods is that all whole foods are superfoods. Be sure to include a variety in your diet to partake in all of the Lord's natural healing gifts, such as ginger, nuts, seeds, olive oil, pomegranates, and honey. Foods of the Bible can bring healing to you more than ever today. We need to turn to God's word on how to boost our immune system, maintain our ideal weight, have abundant energy, and live a life of sustained health. Last but not least, did you know that there's a program called Produce Prescription? This program has allowed providers to prescribe fruits and vegetables to patients with diet-related diseases or those facing food insecurities. Produce prescriptions are written by healthcare providers like they would write a prescription for a medicine. Under this program, fruits, vegetables, or other diet-related recommendations are prescribed instead of medication. These prescriptions may be filled using vouchers that are subsidized by farmers markets, grocery stores, or other community partners. Produce prescription programs are currently funded by the USDA Gus Schumacher Nutrition Incentive Program. While the programs might differ from region to region, they generally aim to treat diet-related diseases or relieve food insecurity by providing patients with nutritious fruits and vegetables. For instance, a program in North Carolina called RPRX gives patients $40 a month to spend on fruits and vegetables at a local Food Lion grocery store. Another program ran by New York City Health Hospitals in Queens fills produce prescriptions with the help of the local produce box delivery service. In Pennsylvania, the Fresh Food Pharmacy, which is spelled FARMACY, offers nutritious educations along with prescription filling meal kits. So let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. And remember, the food you eat can be either the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. I'm going to read Ezekiel 47, verse 12. The river brings life to the land. And by the river up on the bank thereof, on this side and on that side, shall grow all trees for meat, whose leaf shall not fade, neither shall the fruit thereof be consumed. It shall bring forth new fruit according to his months, because their waters they issue out of the sanctuary. And the fruit thereof shall be meat, and the leaf thereof for medicine. Tonight's discussion was on food for medicine, and I read Ezekiel chapter 47, verse 12. The river brings life to the land. Shalom.
Okay, yeah, appreciate that information. Yeah. Yeah, I recall back in the day, like about, I think it was in 2003 or 4, I had came across this video while I was on YouTube searching for something else. It's called The Queen of Trees. And that conversation just now reminded me of that. You want to check it out. It actually, the fig tree that we know of in America ain't the fig tree that's in the garden. It's way bigger, huger than the fig tree over here. So it changed the conversation too. It changed the scene in the story in the garden. So this tree huge, the leaves huge. So, but anyway, it tells us the fig itself tells the story because the garden was hidden. So the flower that the fig tree bring forth is hidden. The fig closes, it comes up, the flower is inside the fig. It's not like every other tree that bloom flower. It's like the flower opens up, but this flower, which is they call it secret garden, is within that fig. You know, I was fascinated by that when I saw it actually tell the story of what happened in God, because it's got this other stuff involved in it. It's got two different type of little insects. One plants this larva inside the fig, then he leave, and then another one comes and plant his larva in there with it. It's two different seeds in there, but one of them is gonna eventually, when he started developing, he's gonna use the other one for nourishment. But the Walls had to wait till the other one plant his first, then he come behind it and plant his. Same story that's in the garden. So that's what reminded me of that when I just heard listening to that. Okay.
Excuse me, but Leonard, where did you say you can find that video or reading?
That's on YouTube. YouTube. It's Queen of Trees. Queen of Trees.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And Sister Michelle, there are always good health scriptures that you read and health guide that you read, but this one right here, I had never heard it, although it was something that was said growing up about the different herbs and fruits and vegetables that help you, because my grandparents was like, they didn't have this or they didn't have that and they did this. But the phrase you use, produce prescription, that they have now, that's funded, and then they have these programs to help people to get these things. Food be your medicine, medicine be your food. This is good, and I'll pass it along. Thank you so much.
Shalom. Brother Leonard, as I was doing research on this, and the more you dig, the more information comes out on different things, right? So This was a program I've never heard of either. So, and I have to say this is a program they don't want us to know about. So if you're not digging and researching and going from one site to another, and I always say, don't just stop at one good article, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of keep going. And that's what I always do. That is very helpful for me. So when I come across this information, I like to share it with, the ladies on this platform and other ladies that may be listening, because the first thing they want us to do when we go into a doctor's office is always pull out their pad and write us a prescription for medicine. They don't never give you an option to say, we have this program that you can get a $40 voucher for fruits and vegetables. If you don't know this and ask them, they're not going to tell you.
They're going to tell they can't.
Right.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess so.
Yes,
sir.
it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Got some current events.
Second Exodus is right at the door. Just like the first Exodus happened in Egypt during the time of Moses. After the Bantu rebelled against the Most High, the Bantu went into idolatry, worshipped foreign gods, and left their first love. Refer to Revelation 2:4. The Most High called upon Moses to lead out the children of Jacob, out of Egypt. He encountered resistance from the Pharaoh who wouldn't let them go, but after a long tussle, The Most High told Moses and Aaron to tell Pharaoh that he will send plagues. And Pharaoh's heart hardened the more against the word of Most High. But eventually he sent the 10 plagues that tormented all Egyptians for some time until it came to Passover, when the Most High instructed his people to apply blood from goat on their doorposts, so that at night an angel of death would kill all the firstborns of the Egyptians. But to all Jacob's seed who obeyed, he would save and pass over. They were instructed to take bitter herbs and unleavened bread that evening of Passover, so that early the next morning they were to leave Goshen, Egypt, for good. That is where we get the feast of Passover that we celebrate to this day. All signs since 2012 and before have been pointing towards this big event. We may not know the exact time, but Bawo says it's time for my people to go back to his land Al-Kabulon that he gave to Abram. We remember when Abram fell into a deep sleep, went in a dream, and the Most High showed him that his children and descendants will break the laws of the Most High, and he will cause them to go into captivity into a land that is foreign. And they will be taken into captivity. Mothers, fathers, and children will be delivered to a foreign people, and they will be tormented for 400 years, where they will endure the killings, rape, and lynching, and all horrible things will endure, for you are my people. Being in captivity, in the fulfillment of prophecy, and therefore cannot be blamed on those that facilitated the fulfillment of the Most High's wishes. Those who sold others were just tools used to fulfill the commandments of the Most High. The children of Jacob and Esau were all captured by the white people and sold into captivity, because white people could not differentiate between the sons of Jacob and Esau. When the children of Esau had sold all children of Jacob, they were then captured and taken into captivity as well. The seller and the sold are both in captivity. It is important that we draw parallels in history between the first Exodus and the one to come. After these 400 years, I will deliver you, says the Most High, surely with a mighty hand, and will rule over you. In order to get a proper understanding of who the Most High's people are, and the importance of the chosen people to come back to the land of Africa, the land of promise, we have to acknowledge that not only the chosen ones are in captivity, but all other descendants of the children of the Most High, and he will return all his people and the chosen ones. Ezekiel 20 verses 37 to 38. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant, and I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Most High. Jeremiah 30 verse 3. For lo, the days come, saith the Most High, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith the Most High. And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. And these are the words that the Most High spoke concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith the Most High, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Most High of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds. And strangers shall no more serve themselves of him, but they shall serve the Most High their God, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith the Most High, neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. In history, there has never been a people who have gone through so much oppression and hatred than the black people scattered to the four corners of the world. That is why racism exists to this day. It is a political tool, human construct, and ideology to put the melanated people under perpetual control through hatred. The machine was put in place to oppress him. Many activists in history tried to speak against it, like Marcus Garvey, Bob Marley, Martin Luther King Jr., and Malcolm X, among many others, but were silenced and assassinated. The white people have put systems in place to continuously enslave and keep black people in colonization, and it's no longer physical. The IMF, UN, WHO, aid and NGOs are all systems that keep black people oppressed, subjugated, and in poverty, under the control of the nations. From 1619 until the year 2019 marked the end of a 400-year period, foretold by the Most High through many prophets like Jeremiah, Isaiah, and Ezekiel. By the end of 2019, we saw the rise of the pandemic, which rendered many people immobile through worldwide lockdowns, and so it prevented Judah and Bantu diaspora from coming back en masse. This was not by coincidence, but the fulfillment of prophecy. Do extensive research and you will see the facts. The cabal delayed the plans for Jacobi's, Jacob's, return to his original land, the Holy Land, Sub-Sahara Africa. Soon the Most High will show his mighty hand, because he never goes behind his promises with his chosen people. He will surely honor Abram's promise by taking his remnants back to his holy land, Al-Kebilan, the land of milk and honey, and the land of our forefathers, and more also. Honor the covenant he made to Abram, Isaac, and Jacob, which keep the commandments of the Most High and have the testimony of the Savior. This is an important message to all black people scattered to the four corners of the world to prepare, for the time is near. Remember to study the word so that you may stand approved. 2 Timothy 2 verse 15. That is all for now. Thank you for...
Okay, any comments on that? Okay. Let's check this out right here. Okay.
Guys, if you already know... The expected response from Israel has arrived to the Lebanese government, which has made statements supporting the illegal paramilitary organization, Hamas. Tel Aviv, which issued a direct warning not to open a second Iranian-backed anti-Israeli front, said that they will destroy Lebanon to the ground, acting on developments that have caused a very serious crisis in Lebanese internal politics. The Israel Defense Forces have targeted the Lebanese borders. The developments related to the use of the second aircraft carrier sent by President Joe Biden immediately after the claim from the U.S. Senate have created a major crisis in NATO. During the last week and a half of the Israel-Hamas war, the discussions about whether many states in the Middle East should intervene in the conflicts have incredibly increased the tension in the region. The statements made by the Foreign Ministry of Iran, which is known to have provided open support to many illegal paramilitary organizations such as Hezbollah over the years, have further raised the possibility of opening new fronts. Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Abdullahian, who recently visited Lebanon, held a meeting here with Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of the illegal Hezbollah organization. Immediately after the visit of the Iranian delegation, Hezbollah Deputy Secretary General Naim November stated that they will take action when the time comes to act, once again showing that it is only a matter of time before Hezbollah joins the war soon. In this process, Hezbollah militants located on the Lebanese borders, who have become a kind of puppet of Iran, have indirectly made moves against Israel. However, the recent loss of the life of an Israeli soldier during an attack organized by militants of the illegal Hezbollah organization was the last straw that overflowed the glass. The Israeli army, which towed a large number of Apache model Attack helicopters to the Lebanese border, then targeted Hezbollah points located on the Lebanese southern line, explaining that a point belonging to Hezbollah was successfully neutralized as a result of airstrikes using numerous long-range cannons and unmanned combat aircraft. The head of the Israel Defense Forces spokesman unit, General Daniel Hagari, cited the violation of the border by a drone belonging to the Lebanese Hezbollah as the reason for the attack. The Lebanese government, on the other hand, stated that they could not prevent a possible offensive launched by the Israeli army from the south. Despite all this confusion, Is it possible for Iran to take back Jerusalem and the Al-Aqsa Mosque by engaging Lebanon, where it considers its regional power most strongly? There have been harsh statements from the Israeli authorities on this issue. Israeli National Security Advisor Zaki Hanegbi, who personally made a statement targeting the Lebanese Hezbollah, said that the Israel Defense Forces will not hesitate to destroy Lebanon if Hezbollah launches an attack from a second front. The statements of the head of the Israel Defense Forces spokesman unit, Daniel Hagari, once again brought to the agenda the heavy sanctions that the possibility of Lebanon's involvement in the war would bring. Speaking about the problems that the Lebanese government's acting in accordance with Iran's directives will create, Hagari noted that any support for the illegal paramilitary organization Hamas will not go unpunished. After the Iranian and Lebanese governments made similar statements in a cooperative manner, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued a direct warning and intimidated the governments of both countries. Netanyahu, who clearly stated that they will continue the war until they achieve absolute victory over Hamas, said, "We are warning the Lebanese Hezbollah and Iran, do not test our will. The price would be too heavy." The arrival of the second warplane sent by the US, a supporter of Israel, to the Eastern Mediterranean at the very moment of this crisis has raised many questions. Can the United States launch a direct attack on Lebanon and Iran with these aircraft carriers? The latest statements from the US Senate increase this possibility even more. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham in the US stated that this situation poses a huge threat to Israel, claiming that concrete evidence of Iran's links with Hamas and Hezbollah has existed for a long time. Graham, who said that the United States should take action as soon as possible, argued that Iran should be bombed in order for the war to end as soon as possible. The arrival of the second US aircraft carrier in the Eastern Mediterranean immediately after these statements, which caused a...
Eddie was crazy to let you go.
I'm not sure. In the world press, led to increased allegations that an attack was planned against Iran. Especially the US-Iran relations, which became open hostility with the Iranian Revolution in 1979, also came to the fore as one of the decisive factors in the Israel-Hamas war. US President Joe Biden, who condemned the Hamas attack in a statement on the first day of the war, issued a warning directly to the Iranian government. Biden's rhetoric, which suggests that Iran should not pursue an anti-Israeli policy in any way during the war and should not support Hamas even in the slightest, has further raised suspicions that the United States will launch any attack against Iran. However, is the statement made by Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Abdullahian, who ignored all the decrees of the United States during his recent visit to Lebanon, a sign that Iran will take action. Abdullahian suggested that the United States should review its support for Israel if it does not want to turn the current war into a regional conflict. And during this process, he also met with Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah after the illegal Hezbollah organization militants carried out attacks on Israel's borders within a week and a half. The Iranian delegation's participation in such a meeting garnered a huge reaction. Acting on statements from the Iranian Foreign Ministry, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that President Joe Biden's support for an aircraft carrier to Israel is a very necessary move against the Iranian threat, noting that the U.S. government is afraid of an escalation of the war and Iran's direct intervention in the war.
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody heard anything about that? That's it. You're looking good. Okay. So we got some. Well, I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A, questions or comments. Anybody have any questions or comments about anything you want to talk about?
Shalom.
Everybody good?
Shalom. These current events and that you just let us listen to, excuse me, everything is heightening. Everything is getting into motion and happening. And you could see it happening. And as we go through the prophecy in the Bible, we're seeing it happen. So my eyes are open. I'm looking, I'm watching, I'm studying, and I'm seeing these things happen.
Okay. Yeah. So anybody else? So I wanted to shine a light on this next video. I was to shine a light on and see if anybody's gonna catch it. But we know how, like I said, these angels got characteristics. There's another way you can, especially the Lord hosts. People will say, the Lord was in this or the Lord was in that. Well, all you have to do is look at his characteristics and his role. You can tell if it's him or not. You can play this right here.
Israel about to descend into a civil war, not Israelis fighting Palestinians or the 17 factions on the Palestinian side that we've been covering here on the show. No, you know that story. You know that part of the story. What you might not know is Israelis fighting Israelis, a civil war in Israel. Dan Cohen from Uncaptured Media, former Washington correspondent for Redacted, is here. And first, before we get into this story, we should point out Dan has had Uncaptured Media, his own media organization, for a number of years and has been building this up. And we're really proud of what Dan has built. He's really launched over the past week because of everything that's been happening in the Middle East. He's an expert on Israel and, of course, the Palestinian conflict. And so we're thrilled to welcome Dan here on the show as the head of his own organization of Uncaptured Media. So I encourage all of you to subscribe to his channel and follow all of the great work that he's been doing on Israel. But Dan, welcome to the show. I want to focus specifically on this Israeli civil war part of the story here, a story that we've never heard before and is not being covered in the mainstream media. Can you unpack this for us?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Clayton. We know about what's happening in the Gaza Strip, this ethnic cleansing, killing of thousands of people. We know about the attack, the October 7th attack on the Israeli kibbutzim and settlements around the Gaza Strip. But what's happening inside Israel is really it's on the brink of a civil war, where you have the Azov battalion, the Azovites of Israel, which are called the Kahanists, followers of a U.S.-born rabbi named Meir Kahane, who was killed in the early 90s. This guy is the ideological father of everything happening in Israel right now, of this kind of Azov-style movement. And they are the national security minister who heads the police has just given them thousands of weapons, and they're basically to act as militias, and then to act that will collaborate with the state forces. The communications minister has just passed legislation to imprison any Israeli citizen who is accused of undermining national morale on the orders of that national security minister. So you have the government can now imprison Israeli citizens simply for the wrong opinion, and then is giving weapons to these extreme right-wing militias. So I actually interviewed the only anti-Zionist Jewish member of the Knesset, Israel's parliament. His name is Ofer Kassif. He is the most hated man in Israel by these Kahanists. So take a listen to what he had to say about what he said is the coming civil war in Israel.
If you don't do something now to stop the fascist militias, what we've seen thus far is nothing comparing to what we are going to see. Israel proper, not the West Bank, not Gaza Strip, Israel proper, the streets of Israel from north to the south are going to be colored in red. Massive rivers of blood are going to be there if you don't stop them. If the writing is on the wall, written in blood already. If you don't do something, what you've seen in other civil wars in the recent times, going to be repeated in Israel.
So blood on the streets, I mean, Jew on Jew violence, that's what he's saying. I mean, this is supposed to be the safe haven for Jews, right? That peaceful place where you would never have Jew on Jew violence, but a civil war?
Well, now the mask has been ripped off. Israel has long had this fascist kind of underbelly that doesn't get talked about in the Western media, that just calls it the only democracy in the Middle East. But the same way, you know, we talk about Ukraine supposed to be since 2014. It's a completely different reality. Israel has this extreme right-wing nationalist movement, some of which are religious, some of which are secular or anywhere in between, that is dead set on ethnically cleansing not only the Gaza Strip, but the West Bank, and then all of Israel itself.
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody catch anything out of that?
Yes, sir. It was saying that they were, you know, turning against each other. That they were, that we don't know about that. That's not being talked about, but he pointed that out. Yes.
Right.
Shalom.
That's by the Most High daughter host work?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Somebody say something?
Yes. When they when it was saying wars within wars, there'll be rumors of wars and wars within wars. There's a war going on now, but within that war is going on, again, like they said, there's a civil war going on within the war that's going on.
Right, okay, yeah. So if you go back in history, you'll see when the Assyrians came up to the gates of Jerusalem and Hezekiah had prayed, it said the angel of the Lord came out in the night and turned them against each other. The Syrian army started fighting each other, and when they woke up the next morning, they had killed each other. So that's one of these characteristics. We see that in Genesis 15, the giants. There's giants all over the land of Canaan. When Lot got caught up in that war, it's called the thousand giant war. They was fighting each other. That's how you operate. Here, the Emancipation Proclamation, what brought that about? It turned it a civil war. And what it did, it freed us. It relieved us of a lot of the atrocities that was going on with us. And he did it by turning them against each other. That's another way how to identify that he's involved. Because we know the plans they got. But he's usurping. Is there something?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so with that being said, okay, we'll go into our topic, which is, did anybody have anything else?
No, sir, not this time.
Okay, so we go into our topic for discussion, which is Jasher 17 and Jubilees chapter 8. So Jasher 17 is, we was talking about women being fair. I just wanted to show you get the understanding out of it, how it came about, because it's mentioned in Genesis chapter 6 that the sons of God, the angels came down. The reason they came down was these women were fair that they chose. Right? So let's go there. I'm in Jasher chapter 17. And it said, I'm gonna start reading it. It said, and in those days, in the 91st year of the life of Abram, the children of Chechem. So I want you to check that out. The children of Chechem. It's way before the Roman Empire come on the scene, before beast. So it says, the children of Chechem, the Romans, made war with the children of Tubal, right? So the children of Tubal, for when the Lord hath scattered the sons of men upon the face of the earth, the children of Checham went and embodied themselves in the plains of Calopia, and they built themselves cities there, and they dwelt by the river Tigris. And the children of Tubal dwelt in Tushkana, and their boundaries reached the river Tiberia. And the children of Tubal built the city of Tushkana, and they called the name called the name Sabona, after the name of Sabona, son of Tubal, their father, and they dwelt there upon this day. So right here, just I can't pass this up. So I thought that the flood, I thought Noah and his son was the only one made it through the flood. See that? This is how I was saying about how ignorant, it's starting to be. The more information you get, you see how ignorant it is what they done. So Tubal. Who gonna name their kid Tubal unless it's tied to Tubal? Nobody would name their kid Tubal. Just like Cain. Who gonna name their kid Cain unless they tied to Cain or they connected to Cain? They honor him by getting his name. So this right here telling you that they came through the flood. Okay, anyway, and it was the time of the children of Checham made war with the children of Tubal, and the children of Tubal were smitten before the children of Checham, and the children of Checham caused 370 men to fall from the children of Tubal. And at that time, the children of Tubal swore to the children of Checham, saying, "Ye shall not intermarry." See that? Two different nations, Tubal and Checham. "Ye shall not intermarry amongst us. No man shall give his daughter to any of the sons of Checham." Right? And all the daughters of Tubal were in those days fair. See that? Okay. So they were fair. But no woman, check it out, no woman were there found in the whole earth as fair as the daughters of Tubal. And all who delighted in the beauty of the women, all who delighted went to the daughters of Tubal and took wives from them. Same thing the angels did. So they ain't doing no different. They went to the daughters of Tubal also. And the sons of men, kings and princes, who greatly delighted in the beauty of women, took wives in those days from the daughters of Tubal. And at the end of 3 years, after the children of Tubal had sworn to the children of Checham not to give them their daughters for wives, about 20 men of the children of Checham went to take some of the daughters of Tubal, but they found none. For the children of Tubal kept their oaths not to intermarry with them, and they would not break their oaths. And in the days of the harvest, the children of Tubal went into their fields to get in their harvest. When the young men of Checham assembled and went to the city of Sabona, and each man took a young woman from the daughters of Tubal, and they came to their cities. When the children of Tubal heard of it, and they went to make war with them, and they could not prevail over them, for the mountain was exceedingly high from them. And when they saw they could not prevail over them, they returned to their land. And at the revolution of the year, children of Tubal went and hired about 10,000 men for their cities that were near them, and they went to war with the children of Checham. And the children of Tubal went to war with the children of Checham to destroy their land and to distress them. And in disengagement, children of Tubal prevailed over the children of Checham. And the children of Checham, seeing that they were greatly distressed, lifted up the children. Check it out. Lifted up the children which they had by the daughters of Tubal upon the wall which had been built to be before the eyes of the children of Tubal. And the children of Checham said to them, "Have you come to make war with your own sons and daughters, and have you not been considered your flesh and bone from that time till now? And when the children of Tubal heard these, they ceased to make war with the children of Checham, and they went away. And they returned to their cities, and the children of Checham at that time assembled and built 2 cities by the sea, and they called one Puta and the other Ariza. And Abraham, son of Terah, was then 99 years old. So we see right here, like I said, there's so much left out in the King James, this is actually a joke. But you see right here, you think it's a coincidence that these are Romans. 2 came, 2 good children, and the Romans. You get to the book of Daniel, these are very people that the angel told Daniel was going to be the 4th beast. Think it's a coincidence? Any comments? So you want to check that out. That's in Joshua chapter 17. It's in 17. I didn't read all of it. I just read the part to show you that if you go to the incident with the Trojan horse, it was tied to that. The woman that the man stole. I can't think of her name, but the king of Troy stole that woman. It was a woman from Tubal, and he stole it. Helena of Troy, yeah, right. So we was even Nebuchadnezzar had one because you go back and do the research, you find out she got sick. He had a daughter from her land, and she couldn't deal with that. She was used to the water or whatever, the water and certain plants from her land. So Nebuchadnezzar sent over there and had a aqueduct built all the way to run the water from her land to his land for her to drink and bathe in. But it's all about these women right here these days. You gotta understand the devil was how he looked. The Most I tell you his beauty. So he came down. These women ascended. They got some of his characteristics. They ascended from Cain. Cain ascended from him. Then you get on down. We see now after that they even enter. They interviewed with the Romans. Okay. And there's some. Okay. Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this other one was I was talking. It came up last night, and I think Wednesday too. About I was trying to find this other Canaan that I was telling you about that found the writings of the Watchers after the flood. So let me get that. It's in Book of Jubilees, chapter 8. Yeah. So it says, anyway, his name is, if you want to do some research on it, it's Kinam. So it says in the 29th Jubilee, in the beginning of the first week, Arphash took to himself a wife, and her name was Reshajah, the daughter of Susan, and the daughter of Elam. And she gave birth to a son in the 3rd year in this week, and he called his name Canaan. The son grew, and his father taught him writings, and he went to seek for himself a place where he might seize a city for himself. And he found writings, check it out, he found writings which former generations had carved on a rock. And he read what was on it, and he transcribed it and sinned because of it, for it contained the teachings of the Watchers, which they had used to observe the omens of the sun and the moon and the stars and all the signs of heaven. He wrote it down and said nothing to it, for he was afraid to speak to Noah about it, or he would be angry with him because of it. And in the 30th Jubilee, in the 2nd week, in the 1st year of it, he took to himself a wife, and her name was Milcah, and the daughter of Midian, son of Japhet. And in his 4th year, he begot a son and called his name Shelah, for he said, truly I have been sent. And Shelah grew up and took to himself a wife, and her name was Mukah, the daughter of Kasib, his father's brother. And in the 130th Jubilee, in the 5th week, in the 1st year of it, she gave birth to a son in the 5th year of it, and he called his name Eber. And he took to himself a wife, and her name was Asarah, daughter of Nebrab, in the 30th Jubilee, in the 7th week, in the 3rd. Okay, in the 3rd year. Okay, in the 3rd year of it, and in the 6th year of it, she gave birth to a son and called his name Peleg. For in those days when he was born, the children of Noah began to divide the earth among themselves. For this reason, and he called his son Peleg, and they divided secretly among themselves and told it to Noah. In the beginning of the 3rd Jubilee, they divided the earth into 3 parts, for Shem and Ham and Japheth, according to the inheritance of each, in the 1st year, in the 1st week. And one of us angels who had been sent was with them. He called his sons, and they drew close to him, they and their children, and he divided the earth into lots, which his 3 sons were to take in possession, and they reached out their hands and took the writings of Noah their father. And there came out on the writings as Shem Lot, the middle of the earth, and he should take as an inheritance for himself and for his sons for generations of eternity, from the middle of the mountain range of Rapha, from the mouth of the water, and goes toward the west through the middle of this river, and extends until it reaches the waters of the abyss, out of which this river goes out and pours into the waters, into the sea, Middit, and this river flows into the great sea. All that is toward the north is Japheth, and all that is toward the south belongs to Shem, and it extends until, show you, until let me see, it extends until it reaches Karasha. This is the center of the tongue of the land that looks toward the south. This portion extends along the great sea and extends in a straight line until it reaches the west of the tongue that looks toward the south. For this sea is named the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and it turns from here toward the south, toward the mouth of the great sea, on the south of its waters, and it extends to the west of Afra, and it extends until it reaches the waters of the river Gihon, and to the south, the waters of Gihon, to the banks of this river. So we see right here that this boy Canaan was left out in the King James, in the version of King James. Notice Peleg and Joktan was mentioned, so we'll go to Genesis chapter 10. Genesis chapter 10 in the King James. Okay, so I'm in Genesis chapter 10, and I'm starting at let's see, yeah, I'm in Genesis chapter 11, 13. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old, and he begot Arphaxad. That's what we just read. 2 years after the flood. Shem lived after he begot Arphaxad 500 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 500 years, and he begot Shelah. And Arphaxad lived after he begot Shelah 403 years, and begot sons and daughters. And Shelah lived 30 years, and he begot Eber. And Shelah lived after he begot Eber 403 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Eber lived 430 years, and he begot Peleg. And Eber lived after he begot Peleg 430 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and begot Reu. Peleg lived after he begot Reu 209 years. He begot sons and daughters. And Reu lived 230 years and begot Shirah. And Reu lived after he begot Shirah 270 years and he begot sons and daughters. And Shirah lived 30 years and begot Nahor. And Nahor lived after he begot, and Shirah lived after he begot Nahor 200 years and he begot sons and daughters. Nahor lived 920 years and begot Terah. And Nahor lived after he begot Terah 19 years and he begot sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. So you see how they skip right over this boy Canaan. They don't have him in here. You constantly see it's a whole lot more to these stories than what they told us. Like I said, they concocted this to lead you to the New Testament, not for you to get the meat or the whole extensive story that happened to lead you to the truth of the scriptures. They put in here what they wanted to, water down the stories to lead you to the New Testament. So yeah, and like I was saying before, you never see mention no second son of these men, like especially before the flood. What's only mentioned is the son that was called. And we see that in the story with David. When he sent Samuel to Jesse's house, told him to go and bring all the sons out. He brought all of them out, and Samuel, he told Samuel, the man, one of them is here. David, he looked at all David's sons that was there. He said, he ain't here. And he asked him, do you have another son? He said, yeah, he out in the field. He said, go get him. So David was the called seed. So just like before the flood, all we see is the called seed. It's not really no focus or mention of these men. These men had other kids, sons and daughters, but the Most High is concentrating and focusing on the seed that's called. So when you see that they venture from that, you know it's a dead cat on the line. Okay. Any comments? Well, yeah, let me go into that a little more because I want to shine a light on something. Go ahead. Yeah, so
when we're saying how many years he lived, it almost got to 1,000.
Who that?
The one that the last one who lived, his father.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, 900, and then after that he was 109 years after he was 900.
Right. You got a lot of men before the flood, like Methuselah lived 900 something years. I think he had 3 or 4 of them living. So one day with the Lord is 1,000 years, right?
Yes, sir.
So he told Adam, the day you sin is the day you die. So neither one of them made it to 1,000 years, the day with the Lord.
Okay. Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So okay. Yeah, anybody have anything else? Any questions or comments? Or anything they want to talk about? Hoping I can get my train of thought back. But anybody got anything else they want to talk about or questions?
No, sir, not right now.
Okay. Everybody good? No comments? No questions about anything?
No, sir. Outside of when you connected the dots in Jasher, and then we went back to Genesis 11 and 10, it connected the dots.
Exactly. Yeah, they just they jumped over that. Yeah, that's where I was going to chapter dealing with Canaan in the story about him finding those writings. So if you go to Genesis chapter 10, you can see that it's something going on with that. And I believe it's tied to that. So you see right here when let me get it, chapter 10. Yeah, here we go. Get my thing tore up. Genesis chapter 10. Genesis chapter 10. So you see right here it says, yeah, chapter 10, I'm starting at verse 21. These are sons of Shem. Under Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japhet, elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam, that's who we just mentioned right here with Canaan. Elam was mentioned with Canaan, and Asher. That Elam and Asher, Arphad, he was mentioned, and Lud and Abram. And the children of Abram, Uz, Hud, Gabed, and Mud, Mesh, Nash. And Arphad begot Selah, and Selah begot Eber. And under Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, and in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. And then now we're dealing with Joktan lineage in verse 26, 10:26. Joktan begot Amadad and Sophic, and okay, so Hazer, Medith, and Jerah, and Hadram, and Uziel, and Dikla, and Obal, and Ammon, okay, so that Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, Jodad, all these were the sons of Joktan. Now here you go right here. So this I'm thinking that Kenah came through Joktan lineage. So it says 30, and their dwelling was from Mesh as they go unto Sephar to the mount of the east, right? These are the sons of Shem after their families, after their tongues and their lands, after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah after their generation, in their generation, and by these was the nations divided in the earth. So again, and that's actually there wasn't no chapters there. They put these verses in chapters. So you keep reading, and the whole earth was like one language and one speech. And it came to pass that day. So who is this day? He's Joktan over here, Joktan then, right? They journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. So this Joktan out of Shem, they ended up in Shinar, which is go right along with what we just read. Kind of found these writings. It says, and they said one to another, go to let us make brick. How they know how to make brick? From these writings. Then they burned them thoroughly, and they had bricks for stone and slime that they made for mortar. And they said, go to let us build a city and a tower whose top may reach under heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad among the whole face of the earth. So we can see how it all makes sense. It makes sense, to me anyway. So yeah. Anybody have any comments?
Yes, sir, Shalom. Because if you go back to where you first started reading in chapter 8 of Jubilees, you can see Eber and Kassid, and see the lineage of Shem here, where they could have taken that, like you said, and broken it up to these chapters.
Right. Again, it's always two boys. We know Cain and Abel, Jacob and Esau. So Eber had two sons, and the lineage that we following just came out of Peleg. That's what Abraham came out of. But
Peleg.
Joktan is the one. Joktan ended up at Shinar. So it makes all the sense in the world. Is there something?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so if anybody don't have any more comments, I'm gonna close it out right here. Okay. Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm gonna say shalom, and I'll see everybody tomorrow for our clubhouse. Okay, they start at 8 o'clock. Shalom.
Shalom.